everybody, and welcome back to a very special edition of the Quantum Compass. As always, today we are going to be taking a pulse on the energetic blueprints and transmissions coming towards us, both through the Mayan universal time codes and, of course, a little bit of astrology. My name is David. I'm one half of the QPW team.
Hi, I'm Bella Alvaran, and we're going to give our thoughts on how to navigate this next wave spell, which is the Blue Magnetic Eagle.
Right, so running from February the 27th to March the 11th, this very powerful 13 days is a pivotal moment, not just for us personally or our tribe, but we would like to suggest for the collective. We have been talking about this in a number of other videos, which we'll refer to later, but right now we want to dive straight into this transmission because we are excited, but also perceive it's very important.
That's right. So let's go into the presentation. Here we have the Blue Eagle, which is the glyph for these next 13 days. And it's a very important one. I'll go more in detail into why it is so important. We've been talking now for a while. I keep on building the information week by week on how we are within these time waves, the spiral, which is part of our DNA, of time, of sound. Everything that is natural is in the form of, energetically in the form of a spiral. It's that universal matrix, and it's the key to universal light codes. And so more and more, what we've been trying to do with the tribe, it's to get into that harmonic resonance by tapping into universal time, tapping into our heart rhythm, and tapping into everything that is organic and natural so that we can activate all of our superpowers.
Right, exciting times. And, you know, this is part of the balancing act. And each week, as Bella said, she wants to keep introducing a little bit more of the wonderful technology that is at our fingertips, and there is so much more to learn, but we're also trying to pace it for ourselves and all of you guys, and just again reminding everybody this is not something to be overwhelmed by, but something to be inspired by. Take a little piece at a time until you feel comfortable with it, a bit like reading a book, and then read the next piece when you're ready for that, and just allow it to flow through you, right, Bella?
And it requires that very flexible minds, clear and flexible minds, to open your heart to this next part of the evolution. We're in the middle of seeing and serving that higher vision and plan. That's part of what the Blue Eagle is going to help us do. So in the middle of this evolutionary shift is also biological shift. It's a mind shift. It's a change at all levels, basically, so that we get into acknowledging our star origins and how we are activating our cosmic human codes. That's where we're going at this moment. Yeah. Right, so this is the new topic, and as we always say, just take what resonates, meditate on it, and just take what you feel is useful, and just simplify it. You know, this is not to overwhelm. This is actually the next layer of where we're going. And in order to do that, I wanted to talk about the biosphere, how we're moving from the biosphere, we've moved into the technosphere, and now we're going into the noosphere. And I'll explain more about what the noosphere is. And when we talk about the biosphere, we're talking about everything, that layer of energy that is biological, that is life, meaning all of us humans around the planet and all of the ecosystems that are part of it. And we are now in the process of transforming, of that metamorphosis from being humans to becoming more cosmic humans. And it's beautiful because we're going to be doing it together with the Earth. She self-regulates herself, and we're part of that rebalancing of energy and evolution that we're going through.
Right, so as we step up into being cosmic humans, a lot of that is about stepping into a more unified consciousness field, which has always been possible, but with the original paradigm matrix that we had, it was very, very difficult for most of us to be able to do that. And so probably many of us have been living more solitary experiences of rising into the more galactic grid. But as far as an earthly grid is concerned, it's been probably several millennia since that's been functioning properly.
And so in between the biosphere and going to the noosphere, we are connected right now, even talking to you, through the technosphere, which is what has been developed since even 260 years ago when the industrialization and the creation of machines started. Now, for the last 26 years or so, which is also a fractal of the 26, as you know, we've had the internet, and we have satellites, and there is a whole layer around the planet which is full of EMFs and so many other things. And even though we want to go into the organic part of what it is to be part of cosmic humans and being part of the earth, this step has almost been necessary, because thanks to the internet, we learned to communicate with people around the planet. We connected the whole planet, and that was key. We needed to learn to do that. It doesn't mean we need to be stuck in just doing that, because it's just the process of us awakening our superpowers, our telepathy, our clairaudience, our all of these amazing skills that we have, psychic skills.
Right, and it's a beautiful point because there is a big discussion going on right now about the technosphere, particularly in regards to artificial intelligence, maybe as opposed to natural intelligence, which is something we want to talk a lot more about in the coming weeks, but also to remind ourselves that if we think back to the 80s or the 90s when we probably first started out learning about a lot of these spiritual ideas and reading many books, there was no internet. So the chances of actually being able to meet other people or even listen to people that we read books by, to meet them in person or communicate, was almost impossible. And so, yes, on the one hand, it creates some of the more dystopian elements of the world that we perceive right now, particularly in relation to the technology, but it also allowed us all to connect. And if it wasn't for the internet, we wouldn't even be doing these shows and connecting with all of you, our wonderful brothers and sisters, all the way across the planet. And, you know, that's something really beautiful about this. So it's how do we make that work for us?
Exactly. And I think if it wasn't because of the internet and the cyber sphere we have connected, we wouldn't have given those quantum leaps in consciousness and connectivity, and realizing we're all interconnected and ready to go into the next step of our evolution, which is that technosphere is bridging us to the noosphere. And so what is the noosphere? And the term nous comes from the Greek nous, which means mind. So here's where we connect to the planetary mind, which allows us to connect to galactic consciousness and activate all of these neural network. So if you think of us as being the neurons of the planet, we're going to tap into that planetary grid more consciously. And in order to do that, it's not only something that is mental, it has to be done from the heart. That's what we're going to talk a lot about, being heart-centered.
Right, and so just to add to this, as we've been sharing a lot recently, we've been having this, we can say community or tribal group activity to try and find the 260 different glyphs in the Tzolkin. We're now at around about the halfway point, but we know that we have about 1,000 people that watch this show every week or every couple of weeks, as well as our other videos. And we're again putting that call out to you because this is our way of creating a mini unified field with just 260 people, which in itself is quite a tricky thing to organize because it needs people like you guys out there watching these shows to feel the call, feel the resonance, and want to jump in. So this is how we at a fractal micro level in our world as Bella and David and as QPW community are trying to create our own energetic noosphere, but through the technosphere.
So more about what is actually the noosphere. According to Carl Jung, he talked about synchronicity as the telepathic method with the collective consciousness. So he described it as the collective consciousness. And the way that we connect to it is through the synchronicities and listening and seeing the signs that we get all the time. According to Rupert Sheldrake, he talked about the morphogenetic fields and the communication of interspecies through this field. And these morphogenetic fields being like memory banks, which we can communicate to through archetypes, which is what we do with the Mayan cosmologies, all around archetypes. The different glyphs are the archetypes to do so in a coherent way. When we talk about also Peter Russell, he talks about the noosphere as being the global planetary brain. So now that we're at this tipping point and we have reached the critical mass of people awake and doing their inner work and reaching 5D consciousness, and now that there is so much more of that influx of cosmic energy, we're ready to be doing this quantum leap. And I know that many of you are already going 5D, activating the telepathy, doing remote viewing, seeing what is coming in the near future, many of those things. And also the next part of it is connecting to the galactic internet. This is part of being galactic citizens or cosmic humans, is when we reach consciously that level that we realize, oh, actually we are part of a bigger tapestry and we are meant to connect to that too.
Right. And, we were talking about this on our global tribal call earlier today, and that is how do we kind of go from the more, perhaps we can say, diminished 3D, 4D versions of ourselves where we're not super connected or not remembering our connection to the universe, and how do we get back to that kind of total connection? Well, it's a series of steps. And if we were just to go from being sort of 3D, 4D aware to suddenly being aware of 26 dimensions and more, I have a feeling it might be a little too much for each and every one of us. And so this is why that there is a sort of a progressed series of different steps you can take in many wisdom traditions, including the various courses we've laid out on QPW. But the point here is to understand that if we want to become galactic citizens, i.e. of the universe, we also need to understand that in order to be able to communicate with many other beings who don't use vocal words, we need to be able to connect through our consciousness, through our mind space. And that requires some level of meditation, also discipline, but most of all to go inwards and meet our galactic selves within us through our DNA, through our cosmology, and through our astrology.
Right. So this is what we're planning to do. We're activating that consciously, that mental grid of the planet. And even though you don't think you are connected to it, all of our thoughts go there. That's what we're trying to do, something that is more coherent, more focused, more aligned, and with positive intentions so that we manifest more of that for the collective.
Aho.
So don't think that you don't matter or you don't count, because everybody does. You can be a beacon of light. You can be a nodal point in this network. I'm going to show a couple of maps so that you get to play and be more interactive with it as well.
Right. I mean, let's not forget that we are quantum reactors. We're also a series of galactic portals. We are quantum technology at the healthcare level. Everything that the universe has to offer us from that quantum space is already within us. All we have to do is take some time, go inwards, be with ourselves, give ourselves enough love to want to activate all of that.
So what I want to be able to share here is tools so that we realize that we're part of the divine field. We are the architects of this emerging reality, and we're all at service of planetary evolution. If you feel that you're part of this planetary evolution, then this is going to be helpful, and you're more than welcome to be part of it, because this is about having a higher collective vision of what we want for us, for our children moving forward. Yeah.
Right, and just as a final point for those of you following the Stellar Nations pathway, any of that work, of course, the Whale Nation are deeply connected to the morphogenetic field. So perhaps this is just an invitation for those of you aware of that information in your Antares code to perhaps look at the astrological chart that we're going to pull up for this wave spell to see if any of your whale stars are going to get activated, because as Bella shows here, this is, oops, gone past, this is the morphogenetic field of planet Earth according to the Mayan time code system.
So if you feel like you want to start connecting from wherever you are in the world, we have people watching us from everywhere around the planet. So this is an easy way, a bit of a playful way of connecting to the Noosphere as well. So the first thing, it would be to identify where in the planet you are and what is your archetype. So let's say, for example, you're in Alaska. This is a glyph or an archetype to connect to, the white dog. Most people in North America are here with the blue monkey archetype. Those of you in Canada, Greenland, it would be the blue eagle, and so forth. We have lots of people here in Australia. So Australia, we have the white wind on this side and the blue night on this side. So Europe, for example, has the yellow sun, and then this side of what is Portugal and Spain have the yellow warrior. So like that, we're not going to go through each one of them, but at least if you want to be part of this idea, you can comment here under the video and tell us which region are you connecting from with the archetype. Instead of saying I'm connecting from Spain, you could say I'm connected from the yellow warrior region. For example, is a way of identifying, and then we start creating the whole template of that.
Right, and just to be clear, that doesn't in any way affect your own personal Mayan essence, your glyph, or the wave spell. This is more like an overview into the morphogenetic grid of how certain parts of the world are resonating at a certain frequency. And we used an example on the live call this morning, which you can go and check out. We talk in more detail about this. But just for example, here in North America, we have 3 glyphs. We have the eagle, we have the monkey, and we have the heart. So we have heart energy with 5th dimensional perspective working with the inner child and magic. So if we put those 3 glyphs together and think about many things that have been happening in North America in general, including Mexico, of course, over the last 4 to 8 years, we can see that these 3 energies have been working very harmoniously together, working with heart consciousness, working with magic, but from a higher plane perspective to assist all of humanity in the bid for sovereignty.
So this is one of the exercises, one of the many exercises we're going to be doing with all of these. We have been doing this now for 3 years, giving you the glyphs, what is the tone, putting the courses together, what is your galactic signature. Now we get to play to a more planetary level, because we are that great cosmic family and we're starting to work together as a network, so that by the time we connect the whole grid, we start sending positive thoughts and intentions so that they manifest with the 100 monkey effect.
Right, beautiful.
Yeah. And this is just something that I recommend for you to center yourself and activate that rainbow bridge. We did this as part of one of our immersions, which is to see yourself inside the planet in the octahedron shape that is the core of the planet, and then bring in lots of white light and then expanding your toroidal field in rainbow bridge colors. This is a meditation. You could just take 5 minutes to do this. And maybe some of you have already been doing it for a while.
Right, very powerful meditation, which some of you would have done with us during the Rainbow Bridge journey of a couple of years ago. And also the whole concept of the toroidal field is something we're going to be looking at in a lot of detail over the next couple of weeks.
Good. So let's go back to the Mayan cosmology and what we see coming for the next wave spell. As you know, and maybe some people need clarification here. When we talk about here in the Quantum Compass about all of this Mayan cosmology, I'm putting together 2 lots of information. One is the 13 moons, and the other one is the sacred round or Tzolkin, which come together as 2 turtles, which I'm going to show you, the 2 turtles that guide us through number 13 and the spiral of time. So these 13 moons is a very important instrument to synchronize ourselves and unify telepathically for this new time. It's like synchronizing with the universal mind. And the way to do this is just a daily meditation with the glyph of the day. Understand that there are energies I can work with on a daily basis and that I can keep on evolving day by day, putting conscious awareness on it.
Right, so maybe some of you are not aware, but I do post a daily 3-minute short video here on our YouTube platform to give an overview, just in a very short form, of what the glyph for the following day is. And I know many of you are starting to tune into that. It's a very useful tool. I do it as much for myself to get anchored and centered, and also to get me thinking about the glyph, but also it's just an easy way to tap into the energy of the day. So please do check that out as well.
Right, so I wanted to show here with this one. So here are the 13 moons. And they are all exactly of 28 days. And one day is the day out of time, which is always the 25th of July. So this is a way to synchronize our mind with the galactic energy as well. And also to help us recover our powers, being more balanced within ourselves, the masculine and the feminine, reconnecting to number 13, which we've talked about a lot, which is the spiral of the Fibonacci sequence, is part of the natural cycles and waves. It's also a way to reconnect the communication circuit with the cosmos. This is the next level of what we're ready to do or getting ready to do. It's also a way of reestablishing balance and harmony according to the divine plan. This is part of what we're supposed to be evolving towards. And to realize that every day, time is art, and we can create amazing things. We're the artists that came to this world to create the new earth. And whether it is through something that you do or the time you spend with your family, anything that is part of your energy is contributing to this being a reality. Yeah. So also I wanted to give the overlay of that we're still in the year of the storm until July 24th of 2025.
And this is in the lunar 13 moon calendar, right?
Okay, yeah, this is part of what I wanted to, I've seen some people getting confused. So when we talk about the year of the storm, it means that those 13 moons have a year better energy, and this time is the year of the storm, the blue storm, but it's a blue rhythmic storm. And what does that mean? That is a catalyzing energy that is going to help us bring balance. Get rid of everything that doesn't work, remove any karmic stuff that needs to be dissolved, dissolution of time even, dissolution of illusions that have kept us in a comfortable place, is catalyzing, and preparing our nervous system for this process of transformation, because even our DNA is getting upgraded. So I'm sure that you have felt lots of different symptoms in your body, and it is part of this process. We're going into the reconnection and activation of our 12 strands of DNA. And this is a process of transformation into a higher vibrational realm. That's why our nervous system and every part of our body, especially our light body, needs to be prepared, and our whole physical body needs to be able to harness and to receive all of these higher vibrational energy.
Right, so just to clarify, that means that this cycle is working to 364 days plus the day out of time, and the Tzolkin is a 260-day count. So it's very, very
that's
important.
the two turtles.
Yeah.
One turtle runs the 364 days or 13 moons, and the other one runs the 260 days, which is the cycle of the sacred round or Tzolkin.
Right. So to put this into context, this particular Tzolkin that we are now in has got 2 wave spells left. The one that we're going to preview in a second, and the final one, the 20th wave spell of the year, which is the Star, and that takes us up to March the 24th. There is then in the Gregorian calendar basically another 4 months, or what we would say just over another 2 castles, until the end of the year of the storm, the lunar year of the storm. So just to put those 2 mechanisms or dials or compasses just into a slightly tighter overlay there.
And this is a fun interactive way of doing it. This is the second idea I had for you. So you can see here the 2 turtles. The one here on the left is the turtle with the Tzolkin, which is 13 tones inside and 20 glyphs around. Mm-hmm. And this other turtle here is the one for the moons. So again, 13 tones, but 28 days. So it's an easy way, something that you could do even with your children, you know, print out the 2 turtles and put a couple of rocks or seeds or crystals and start following. And the day that the 2 tones match, let's say, for example, is a tone 10. If we were in the moon 10 as well, that would be called a magic turtle day.
Wow, okay.
So it's a way of making it more playful, but also to bring our awareness into the here and now. You can follow it day by day and bring the energy into it just by looking at the glyph. So there are many different ways of doing this.
Right, and it's a really, really good way of anchoring into 3-dimensional manifestation, the gradual process of switching from Gregorian time to universal time, because we appreciate it's a bit of a jolt. We've been doing it for a couple of years. We pretty much live entirely now by the universal time codes, but of course the rest of the world doesn't, so we still have to operate in the Gregorian calendar. But if you use Bella's methods and make it a playful activity, and each day just take 10-15 minutes to familiarize yourself with the glyph, whether it's through the apps that we shared or our video, or working in conjunction with the quantum compass, or if you're in a blue Peter mode, as I think Bella might be, and you can do something like this.
Look at what I printed out. Isn't this fun? I printed out a cool Tzolkin where I'm going to be playing also with my crystals and my turtles and everything. But anyway, let's get back into the moons. So this moon of the galactic is called the galactic moon of integrity, ends on March 6th. And we can see here is the 8th moon. It's all about harmonization, integrity, and we talked about how this totem, which is the hawk, was giving us a higher vision, and we had to be prepared to see what was coming ahead. And then this one takes us into the next moon, which is the solar moon of intention. Here, with the powerful totem of the Jaguar, I'm going to talk more about the Jaguar, is going to give us the energy that we need to deal with this very important moon. We feel the acceleration of the energy. So this moon runs from March 7th through April the 3rd. Is that correct? Yes. It is 28 days. And so what is the Jaguar going to help us do? Well, the Jaguar is an integral part of the Aztec and Mayan symbolism and is representing leadership, wisdom, being very clever, but being able to guard against any evil. There's going to be a lot of information, and we need to be able to protect our energy fields, but also be able to look at things without immersing emotionally on them, but be able to look at anything that is thrown at us and discern it and still be balanced. Anything you want to add?
There is, but I have a feeling I'm going to jump the gun, so I'll let you finish this piece and
all
I'll come back.
So I wanted to give more on this. Those 28 days, which start on March 7th, are 28 days to be very much aware of the intention of what we're carrying forward. And the Jaguar is really good because he's going to help us during this moment. It has a lot of power and intensity, and is what we need to be strong to for this next wave spell that is coming, where we have to confront many fears and any barriers that we've had. We're going to have to even look into the underworld, so that with the help, I wanted to say here, there are two powerful totems for this wave spell, the Jaguar and the Blue Eagle.
That's what I've just written down.
And it's the best totems that we could have to deal with the intensity of the moment, because we're going to have to, with the help of the Jaguar, look at the underworld and all of the horrific disclosure and information and difficult truths that we're going to be seeing, but then raise like the eagle to be able to have a 5D perspective of everything that is coming our way.
Right, and it's no coincidence that in the Aztec traditions, especially, the warriors of those cultures were divided into eagle warriors and jaguar warriors, two particular lineages, depending, I guess, on people's innate abilities, whether they were more jaguar, more bird, and they would then kind of take their initiations in those pathways. I guess maybe some of them did both, but what's also interesting, Bella, if I'm not jumping the gun here, is to see that it's on day 9 of the Blue Eagle that this Jaguar energy inserts itself into the wave spell and creates this fusion.
There you go. Seeing the magic already.
Right.
The synchronicity.
The synchronicity. Day 9 is a day of intention, so maybe we'll come more to that in a minute.
So the Jaguar is it's called Balam in Mayan, and it means the wizard, the sorcerer, the shaman of the whole Tzolkin. So we did a very powerful journey called the Path of the Jaguar. We learned so many things from this beautiful totem. So just a little bit more to round up here. The Jaguar is going to help us balance the energy. There's going to be a lot of emotion, but also we need to be able to be grounded. And this is the perfect totem to do that, because it provides an earth-water element combination that helps us be grounded as well. It is also associated with discernment and premonition. And working with the Jaguar opens the third eye chakra to a whole new level of consciousness. This Jaguar, as a spirit animal, charges you with embracing change. And this is, as I said, part of the storm is that we need to be ready for change. Where is the world asking you to make changes? We're going to have to review all of our limiting beliefs and maybe change many of the things we thought were true. Now we're trying to review everything and create a new reality where many things are going to have to be removed. Anything you want to add there?
No, you carry on.
Okay. The Jaguar also safeguards against any unhelpful energies and teaches us about proper wording. It also teaches us about patience, about when to act, to be very observant. If you think of a Jaguar in the jungle, what do? They're just in the back, trying to see what is going on and don't react to everything they see. They're always observing what is going on. And so what is it helping us do? To see the pattern in the middle of the chaos. And it is chaos what we're living in, but we're about to get into a whole different phase of what is going on for the planet. So it is only through seeing the truth, removing all of the illusions, that we go into the next level. The thing is that 80% of the population or more haven't seen the truth, haven't seen the disclosure of many things we know about. So it is going to be chaos for a lot of people. That's what we need to be, in a container that will help us navigate this process. And David is going to talk to us about that in a minute. Anything else you want to?
Well, what I would just like to add to this is, some of you may have done the path of the Jaguar with us, and that really is the white wizard glyph in the Tzolkin itself. But this process is about activating our own inner shamans, because it's through being able to work with our inner shamanic qualities that the cat really brings forth, that we are able to look at difficult stuff and to realize it's all just part of duality, and from that perspective continually transform and alchemize, whether it's for us personally, whether it's through working in the community, or even working at the collective level. Once we're able to look at something that's difficult and see it for what it is, to see through the illusion that it really is, because everything in this realm is really an illusion away from our true self, then we have the power to look at and alchemize anything. Now, that work is not necessarily for everybody. Having that Jaguar calling within you is something that you will feel, but we have that energy at our disposal right now.
Mm-hmm. And we know that there are news coming around fake spiritual leaders, about children, about politics, about who's been doing what, when, and the powerful elites. All of that is coming out in this wave spell. So we need to be able to be grounded, but be able to observe what is going on.
Right, and if you're not sure what we're talking about, I'm going to point you over to the Web of Weird episode to get more into the disclosures that are there, because myself and Peter are able to talk about those things a little more easily there from hopefully a non-dual perspective, but also as our way of preparing many of you who maybe aren't so plugged in, or maybe need to share information with family members, not because we want to scare anybody, but actually because we want to help people move through this process as smoothly and easily as possible. To navigate, exactly, to navigate.
Right, so let's go now so up to now, I've been talking about the 13 moons, right? So we're going to move from the 8th moon to the 9th moon, from the galactic moon to the solar moon. Now let's talk about the Tzolkin, which is the other turtle I was talking about. And here, this little turtle here on the right represents this Tzolkin here, which has the 13 tones, the 20 glyphs, Hunabku in the middle, which is the transcendence of duality, and the 4 colors or tribes, which also represent the 4 elements and 4 directions. We've talked about this. And when we combine these 13 times 20, we get the 260 energies or galactic signatures. And each one of us has one of those 260 energies. Anything there? Good. So talking about reconnecting to the sacred flow, this is a method following the 13 days or the wave spells. It's a way of keep on healing trauma and fears and embracing our shadows, and keep on cleansing layers and layers and layers, so that we keep on raising our frequency with every single wave spell. That's why right now, I'll show you where we are right now. We're in the ether element, right in the middle, in the 5th castle. And it's the point where we get to see everything. That's why the Blue Eagle is going to show us everything that's going on and what we need to let go of, what needs to be integrated, what is the higher vision for all of us. Let me go into that part again. So this is more of the Tzolkin, where I just mentioned. And this is where we are at the moment. We already did the red castle, the white castle, the blue castle, the yellow castle. Now we're in the last 52 days of the 260-day cycle. We are about to enter this 3rd wave spell, which is the one before the last.
The penultimate.
Yeah, the penultimate. And it's again a process of 13 days that we will follow and keep on evolving day by day. Here's where we are. This is the Tzolkin. So this is another board that you could print out and follow it with your little rock or crystal. This is another way of being interactive with this calendar. Sorry, is this the correct? Yes. This is the wave spell from February 27th through March 11th. And what we're trying to do with our tribe is to bring everybody, the 216 energies into the board so that as a tribe, we create a template that is able to manifest and put positive intentions in the noosphere, where we can visualize solutions and create positive change. And so when we're clear about what is it that we want to manifest as a group for everybody, let's say we're thinking about peace or solutions to whatever issues are going on in the planet, we can send the intention, and any of you can be part of this, and we send the message and hang it in the cloud and put it in the noosphere as we're trying to achieve it. We did our first exercise today with our tribe. We're super excited to bring more people to collectively create something beautiful, because we are the links between heaven and earth, and it is us that create these change that we want to see. We're the artists, we're the co-creators of this new reality.
Right, so maybe it's helpful. Maybe just go back a couple of slides. Sorry, do you want to the Hunab coup. I just want to. So if we think about this picture as being a 2D sort of pictorial view from above, and then we go to the Tzolkin, which is also showing us in a 2D form. Yeah, go ahead. But actually, if we start to think of this as a vertical plane, then we're starting to get a little bit more of a closer representation of how it works, because this is essentially the center of a tree. It is the mythical column. The mythical column is the axis mundi, which is also the central aspect of the world tree, of the tree of life. And each of us, with our glyphs, are actually rotating around this toroidal field and many other wonderful things. So I just wanted to put that as a visualization, because it helps me, even though this is a 2D picture, it's actually representing a more 3D, 4D image of how this all sits together.
So what is happening now with what we're doing with our tribe called the Cosmic Humans Initiative is we have lots of people that are already on this board creating or activating all of these igniting the light of each one of those glyphs. And I'm so happy we have so many people here in the mystical column, very awake individuals, people that have done a lot of inner work and have done a lot of work with us as well. And they're holding that mystical column, and it's not coincidence that they are there. So super amazing to see the people that are holding that middle space. So now let's go to this wave spell. It starts on kin 235 and it runs up to 247. It's just before we finish. And we'll have 2 galactic activation portals on day 239 and day 241. So 2 important days to send our intentions fully to the noosphere.
235 to 247. So this is a first call out to anyone who knows that they have the glyph numbers between 235 and 247. And if you're not sure what it is, please reach out to us and help us check. We would love to have all 13 parts of this particular wave spell filled in as we enter into the process of the 13 days of the Blue Eagle, which I'll explain more about in a minute. So just first transmission signal, check your kin number. If you have the magic bingo numbers between 235 and 247, come on down.
And be part of this initiative. Every time we go through wave spell, the people on this part of the Tzolkin will be the ones that carry that wave spell, and we all, the rest of the group, support the initiative that then that group goes through. So again, this is the Blue Eagle wave spell. It's important to see the archetype because it is a code as well that our subconscious mind recognizes. Right? So let's go into the information about the Blue Eagle. It has many important qualities. The main one is vision. It connects us to freedom. That's why it's the symbol also of the US and many other cultures. It connects us to the higher collective mind, to planetary consciousness, which is the reason why during this wave spell we are doing the activation of this planetary grid. It also connects us to hope, compassion and service, and to see in the bigger picture, because there is going to be so much emotional upheaval and information and chaos and shock waves. We need to be able to see the bigger picture and be like the eagle and see things from above, from a neutral place, so that we can understand, okay, what is going on here. Then, as the Jaguar is helping us as well, we get to ground, but from a very strategic place. Yeah,
Right,
place
yeah.
ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
In the shadow of these 13 days, we could be getting caught in details or too much information, having a narrow vision or perception, or seeing things only from one perspective or only one way or a polarized way, to get easily overwhelmed and confused because there will be a lot of information coming this way to be disclosed. Another shadow is that to have very subjective views or to believe in the savior role, whether you think somebody's going to save you or that you are the savior. Both of them need to be reviewed because they are part of the shadow. Another shadow is not to be able to say no. And that is something, being able to have boundaries is super important. Losing hope or that sense of futility could be part of the shadow also within these 13 days. So what do we want to do? We want to add these questions for reflection. The first one is, do you allow yourself to spread your wings and fly? Can you unhook from the drama or detach from the story so that you can see things from a different perspective? Does your vision symbolically get blurry by what you see? Do you complicate things when they can be handled in much more simple ways? And the final one here is, are your actions in alignment with your vision? So have a vision. Where do you want to go? That's what we put together, a navigation guide to quantum consciousness, because it helps us have a vision and go step by step to get to that point of what you're trying to create. And finally here, the actions for transformation over these 13 days is realize in which ways your vision may be constraining your experiences. So let go of limiting beliefs. And rather than getting stuck in life circumstances and feeling a victim of what happens, choose to see the valuable lessons in each experience and rise above limitations, help raise the collective consciousness, see the bigger picture, believe in yourself is a big, big, big one. And think and feel, be hopeful and optimistic about your dreams and visions, because it's through our co-creating skills that we will get there. So we need to keep the optimism high. Did you want to add something here?
No, I think I'm going to put it all into the piece in a minute.
Okay, so just to wrap up the wave spell, here you can see we have the blue eagle, and then the rest of the wave spell, we finish with the blue hand, which is very appropriate. We transcend with healing. So I am saying that it's going to be a little stormy. We have the storm here on day 5. So day by day, do your short meditation. What is the glyph of the day? Ask yourself one of those questions. And everything to do with this wave spell is about vision, being 5D, higher perspective. That's it.
So I'm going to take this opportunity to blend a couple of things together. Normally, during the Quantum Compass, we focus on a plant or a couple of plants that speak to us of the energy of the wave spell. Well, because we have this coming up, which is going to be running simultaneously from the 27th to March the 11th, it's the mystical column, the teachings of the three trees. So I'm going to share a bit more about this in a second and put it into a context with everything that Bella has just shared. But this is really the trees or plants that we're going to be working with: the yew, the oak, and the ash. And we can say that the yew is our energetic skin to connect to the eternal. The oak is our energetic skin to connect to the galactic or the cosmic. And the ash is our kind of skin to connect to the heavenly, earthly axis. Each one of these is a beautiful, time cognizant being who has incredible blueprints to assist us connecting to the eternal, the galactic, and the heavenly. And so we're going to be working with each of these three trees over the period of the Blue Eagle Wave spell. And there are a bunch of reasons for this. We're going to be sharing a lot more through the course of the 13 days. There'll be myself and Bella presenting and giving talks. Bella will be giving a daily mind glyph meditation. So it's an excellent opportunity to jump into a held container and group space where the focus is not just on working with the energy of the free trees, but also on working with the energy of the very fifth dimensional consciousness of the eagle, but also working on a day-to-day basis in a 13-day Mayan time code wave spell, which is a great way to learn about how to make this work for you. Many of you who have actually done immersions and journeys with us know this, but we want to invite you all into this space to experience this both with ourselves, the other wonderful teachers that we have confirmed already, including our sister Leslie from Stellar Nations, our wonderful herbalist and Weberwig co-host Pete Jackson Main, and also coming into this space is one of my own teachers from a long time ago, Michael Dunning, the U Shaman, who I spent 5 years studying the U mysteries with, and that's to add the different layers of wisdom that these people have about these trees.
And maybe a couple of surprises as well.
There may be a couple of surprises, a bit like the last Quantum Compass episode.
Oh, good ones.
For those of you that were watching that, you'll know what we're talking about. So I just want to bring this in, but also to put it into context with the moment in this castle, with the blue eagle. This is a glyph that I love. It's an energy that I love. I love the bird nation in general. I have a lot of those bird codes from Stellar Nations. I feel very comfortable in the place of non-duality. And we can see here, this is where I often find myself when I meditate with eagle consciousness, exactly here, far above the earth. Not necessarily outside of the earthly realms, because the fifth dimension is the bridge between the 3D, 4D of the earthly realms and the sixth dimensional and above galactic consciousness. And there needs to be a bridge. And coincidentally, that's also what my glyph is meant to be about. So I'm kind of doing my work by doing this. But what I want to share is that's the view that we can take when we find ourselves getting polarized in duality. Because when we're able to go to the eagle's perch perspective, and the eagle is very connected to Yggdrasil, the world tree, that is where the eagle's perch is, about halfway up, we can say, or maybe more towards the top. And the eagle sits there and surveys what is going on down here on the earthly realms. And if we go into meditation with the same intention, we can do the same thing. And I have to say, from my perspective, and I'm sure you would agree with me, baby, that this is one of the best ways to work through any triggering situations that come up, whether it's from the goggle box, family members, friends, work situations, etc., to go to that place and sit there and meditate your way through until you see that it's just duality. No good guys, no bad guys, just one big kind of game that we all signed up to be a part of. And that is what this 13 days with the blue eagle is going to give us, particularly working with these three very, very powerful trees who've already formed a beautiful teaching healing space. Each one, the yew on the outside, then the oak in the middle, and then the more feminine ash in the center, because each of these trees is going to give us the opportunity to go to a different level of consciousness, for our own self-development, but also we perceive, particularly in the safety of the container, the ability for us to hold each other and perhaps in some way, as Bella said at the beginning, to project or ascend that intention of holding into the collective noosphere, if, as we see coming very quickly towards us, the large-scale revelations that many people who aren't so non-dualistic in their awareness are perhaps going to get pulled left and right with.
So if you feel the call to be part of a container, of a journey of 13 days with people from around the planet who are going to be holding space and getting lots of teachings about the trees of life and about the oak, the yew, and all of these mystical column, the blue eagle. Please come and join us. Anybody can join, and it's on donation basis, so it should be easy for everybody to join at any point.
Right, I just want to emphasize that we were guided to do this specifically at this point for all the reasons we've said, but also we wanted to remove as many potential blockages as possible for all of you. Yes, we have a recommended price. That's what we were guided to do, as always, but we want to put it out there that we want as many of you to participate who watch our videos as possible, because you obviously already have some interest in resonance, but also the more of us that come into a space that is being held, particularly by a lot of our long-term tribe members who've done a lot of work with us, there is a security with that, but also there's a chance to learn, and you can actively contribute to that intention setting. And the more of us that are doing that in focused meditation for 13 days as we go through the process, the more powerful it's going to be. So it's an open invitation for all of you who hear this transmission to come and join us if you haven't already.
Yeah, it's an open invitation to all, and I would especially like to invite those that have a blue glyph, because you are the ones that are part of the transformation process. Whether you have a blue eagle, the blue monkey, the blue storm, all of you would be very powerful to have in this wave spell.
Right, and of course, as we've already said, anyone with glyphs 235 to 247, we do have quite a few people already on our Tzolkin board, but there are still a few places we'd love to fill those spaces in. But also, perhaps for those of you who are in the Northeast USA or Eastern Canada, where that glyph is centered particularly, also, it would be really great to have more of you from that place. In fact,
Yeah,
there are many of you we know in our community from
right.
there,
This area.
just to be helping to hold that space anchored. And of course, if you're in the rest of the US, in the place where there is the energy of the monkey or the dog, those energies are also an important component in the energy that we're going to be generating. So that is a lot really on the intro today. The astrology, weirdly, as I've been following it through the Western tropical system over the last couple of months, hasn't really presented the wham bam, thank you ma'am kind of conjunctions and transits that we had during probably the last 6 to 8 months, particularly in 2024. But what has come into our awareness is a couple of really powerful things. Now, we've been talking a lot about the Manawithan asteroid or the Manannán-Maclear Cazimi that is happening on the 26th of February. Myself and Leslie did a cosmic history codes looking at who Manannán is, why is this energy so important right now, and the stellar nations fixed stars that were getting activated. Really beautiful piece. I love doing those shows with Leslie, but the information that came through is super on point, really, really on point, because Manannán is the keeper of the veil, which when we think about what the veil does is it really was a mechanism that was designed, A, to protect us, but also to keep us dumbed down. So like everything in duality, depending on your perspective, it had two functions. However, that veil doesn't serve any of us anymore. We need to be able to see the world that we live in, the world of truth, not the world of lies, illusion, delusion, the underworld, all of which is pretty much how this realm has been since the misalignment of Mother Earth several millennia ago, and the kind of, we can say, hijacking of the original crystalline natural intelligence grid to the more kind of matrix style that we've been living under. So that happens on February the 26th, literally just a few hours before the new moon in Pisces, which happens at almost the same point.
I just wanted to add that from the 25th of February for about 5 days, I think all of the planets are direct, if I'm not mistaken. And so there is a lot of forward energies, like the next level of our video game, the next level of acceleration, and I think is very conducive to what we want to do moving forward now.
Right, and also if you go and watch that video with Leslie where we talk in more detail, I don't want to repeat too much of it, but this particular Cazimi with this asteroid is very, very powerful, and it's within 1 degree of exactitude for 4 days, starting from the 24th to the 28th. So all of these energies are overlaying, but as we can see here, this asteroid represents the energies of this very powerful water Tuatha De Danann being, or she being, or we can say galactic avatar being. Also very much carries the energy of Pegasus through his horse Anvar, and all of that we talk about in detail. But we can see here that on the first day of this wave spell, February the 27th, we have this new moon in Pisces. So a lot of action here in Pisces, which seems totally on point for where we're at in this kind of process. But we can also see that Manannán asteroid, which moves at a fairly fast pace itself, is actually within 40 minutes of exactitude also with this new moon. So this energy is very much in play, which is why we've been giving it a lot of focus, both in other talks. Also, if you go to our group, the Flying School on QPW, there's even a deep dive we did there in our Flying School students, kind of getting prepared for this energy, because we see that it's important. Why? Because it's the combustion of the veil, and it's the opportunity working with this being to bring light, to bring a lot of light through any density that is still wanting to be released. And judging from the amount of people who are a little bit sick in the respiratory systems at the moment, we were talking about this on the call this morning, particularly in the Blessed Isles of Britain and going across into Europe, there is a lot of grayness there, which tends to suggest that it's in, at the fractal level, if the land is covered in grayness and the energy is gray, it tends to suggest that a lot of the population are also in the gray space. And now that's perhaps a conversation for another time, but really and truly, we are working as a tribe to generate as much light energy as we can, particularly from this side of the pond, to send it across on this Cazimi on the 26th. Also with the intention of the new moon in Pisces to penetrate any murkiness, any part of the veil that is really stuck and really resisting the light, because without full transparency, we cannot all elevate to 5D. And I know that that might sound scary, particularly in a totalitarian world, but we have to understand that if we are still in the place where we're wanting to hide things, perhaps, then we have to ask ourselves, what is it that I'm trying to hide from everybody? What is it I don't want people to see? Now, this is a Scorpio saying this, so this has been a long journey for me to get to this place, but I understand that in the higher dimensions of 60 and above particularly, there is no place for shadow because shadow is density. So whatever we're trying to hide by default is in the shadows, right? So this is where this energy is at. This is why this is the main piece that we're going to focus on in the astrology today. I have put a few of the other transits just to get it into your awareness.
So as we can see, there's a huge stellium. There are more than 8 things there in Pisces. So it's everything that we've been talking about also with the blue wave spell. There's going to be a lot of emotions, storm, and it's so watery that we want to be more empathic. We want to be more compassionate and bring all of our spiritual tools into this wave spell, because I think we're going to need it for ourselves, but also for those around us.
Right, good point, Bella. Thank you. Yes, there is a lot of action here in Pisces. And if we think about Pisces from many different directions, it kind of makes sense, you know, about illusion, delusion, the watery depths. It's also about medications, about substances, also about collective consciousness and how we keep our sovereignty in the collective ocean of consciousness, and how, a bit like the Tzolkin board, really. I mean, Pisces is almost the collection of the Tzolkin board manifested in the zodiac. How do we all interconnect with each other? And are we wanting to reject some part of each other, or are we able to welcome all our brothers and sisters despite any possible differences of opinion or viewpoints about things? Are we in that heart consciousness?
Yeah, so let's get ready to receive truth about toxins and medications and things that have happened in the last 4 or 5 years, and much more, because we're going to see the amount of toxicity that is being displayed for humans, because one of the intentions was to reduce our capacity to co-create. So through the media, through the systems, through debt, through taxation, through all of these toxins in our food and medications and injections and all of those things. So let's get ready to be having a 5D perspective. We do need to look at all of those things. Like the Jaguar, but from a 5D perspective, what are the solutions? What are we going to do as a collective? Let's find the people with the best solutions, and let's start connecting as a collective to move all together forward.
Right, so really and truly the rest of the astrology for this wave spell is mostly focusing on Mercury. He's off again doing his messenger service, and he picks up this thread on day 4 with a conjunction of Neptune, which is really entering into its final piece here in Pisces. And I kind of feel, Bella, that when Neptune moves out of Pisces into Aries, which is I think towards the end of March, that is also pretty much tying in with the end of the Tzolkin.
Yep.
And of course, Neptune does go into Aries retro back a bit like Pluto did between Capricorn and Aquarius for a while. But when Neptune moves into Aries, it is going to signal the beginning of the end of many things. And it'll be our first pass in. I think there's a couple of passes in and out as we get used to it. A bit like we're now seeing with the Aquarian energy, we had a couple of dips into the water. How does it feel? Oh, it's kind of futuristic and sci-fi. Okay, suck it in, breathe it out. How do we get ready for that? And now that we've fully moved into Aquarius, we can see the explosion of sci-fi world pretty much everywhere in our awareness. And you know, the need to understand how does that work for us, not to be overwhelmed by it, not to feel like it's a totalitarian establishment seeking to maintain control. Those are the disaster timelines that are falling away from us. Those timelines only exist if you want to be on them. And if you do want to be on them, well, I would suggest maybe you need to ask yourself why, because the alternative is way better, and the alternative is the new Earth timeline. So it's always choice. This is the planet of free will, and everyone has the option to stay or go, or you know, whatever there might be in between. So we can understand at this point of Neptune really hitting the end degrees of Pisces, which of course is its very sort of watery home. But also there is a big link between Neptune and Manannan from the, we can say, the Serpent family, the stellar nations, and their connection to Atlantis and the watery depths. Leave it there. If you want to know more, go and check out the video with Leslie. But also then Mercury continues this journey, enters Aries on the 3rd of March, and then meets up with Venus very much on the last day. So that's kind of an interesting round out to this wavespell. So again, it's kind of been interesting, Bella, as we've been going into the astrology the last few episodes of Quantum Compass. It's almost as if the astrology is kind of, I wouldn't say giving up the ghost because I don't want to offend anybody, but it's almost like it's saying, hey, this is my last breath in this system. Everything is being racked and stacked in Pisces, ready for a shift. And
to finish the cycles.
To finish the cycles, and not only to finish the cycles, but to pull us out of the watery depths where we are deluding ourselves, allowing ourselves to fall into illusion because the propaganda goggle box is so strong that it's easier to do that than say, hold on, I don't think I like this. I don't think I want to participate. Let me step out of it. And how do I step out of it? Well, that's why you have communities like ours and many others on the planet to step into and actively step up into.
Yeah, and we know that many of the planets are going to be changing signs, and that is also marking huge cycles of time, like 13,000, 26,000, 52,000 cycles, year cycles. So we know that even astrology is going to change. The Earth and the geography and the political divisions are going to change. Everything is going to change. And so I think this process in Pisces is helping us dissolve everything. So we get to a point of total fusion, and what do we create all together? What do we want as a collective? More health, health for everybody, the best for everybody, not just for a few, more fair, and just redistribution of wealth, of everything. We all need to be taking care of each other as a collective.
And you know, this, the risk of sounding a cliche, you want the truth, you can't handle the truth. Well, maybe now is the time to handle the truth because, you know, if you don't want the truth, if you prefer to live in a world of illusion and delusion, then maybe the new earth is going to be challenging for you because there isn't any of that there. And again, I have to ask, you know, if you are deluding yourself or blindsiding yourself, as we all do at various points in our life, it's no judgment or criticism. And if you are seeing that that is the case and still ignoring evidence that is coming towards you, then it's really time to spend some time under your favorite tree and go into meditation and start conversing with yourself about what the hell is going on for you, because this is the best way to navigate these. We say it every day. Said it recently. I spend about 2 hours a day meditating. Why? So that I can organize all of my higher mind inputs. Otherwise, I might run the risk, especially being quite Piscean, of overwhelm. And that is part of the energy also that is here. Too much intel, I can't handle it. I'm going to shut down and push it all away because I can't deal with it. Well, that's your choice, of course, but it doesn't mean that it really goes away. It just means it probably comes back in a second wave with more energy. So I would suggest the way to do this is get the longboard out, start surfing on the peak of the wave, and get your favorite board shorts out, allow the sun on your face, and try to ride the waves. And if you get a bit of a dunking, doesn't matter, get back up on the board. Maybe spend some time meditating, say, I'm okay. Let me go back to my eagle's perch and drop off that onto my surfboard and start surfing again.
Yeah, this is the moment of the big shift and these big collective changes. And it's a perfect opportunity to finish many karmic cycles.
Yeah.
So if you're getting visions or dreams of you in different timelines or you in different spaces or realities, it's because everything is converging to finish the karmic cycles and then start on a clean state and creating a new reality for all.
Right, so just to reiterate, as we enter into this very powerful wavespell, as we enter into this very powerful container, for those of you that want to join us, we have this big dissolution of the veil, which is really already underway. Our guides kind of shared with us that during this particular castle of 52 days, 1% of the veil is being removed. This was the best solution that the collective minds have contributed towards, and our off-planet allies are assisting with us, are saying things like we have to keep moving forwards. There isn't really an opportunity to pause and certainly not to go back. This is universal time. It just flows forwards. So this is the easiest, most suave, we can say, way of getting used to this, because nobody wants anybody to get cooked or overwhelmed. That's not the idea. Everybody here who's at the collective level and participating in this game at that level, as far as I can tell anyway, and certainly speaking for us, we don't want anybody to suffer any more than we already have done. But at the same time, we need people to wake up, because where one goes, we all go. And if 80% of the population don't want to go, there's a little bit of an issue for the 20% that do. And that's not the agreement we all made with each other. So, you know, resistance is futile. Surrender is the only way. It's very, very true. And the quicker you get on board with that idea, the more fun you will have. Actually, this is not meant to be something horrific and arduous. And quite the opposite. It's meant to be our freedom and salvation and sovereignty. But depending on where your mind is, you will perhaps be reading into those timelines differently. We then start this wave spell with this new moon in Pisces, with all of this energy that the sun is going to have a lot of fun with in the following wave spell, which I'll come to in a second. But most of all, it's picking up this energy of this powerful being who wants to drop the veil. Hence the truth. Do you want the truth? Well, I would hope so, but can you handle the truth? Well, maybe, maybe not. That could be true for all of us, which is where your day-to-day meditation, discipline, spiritual warrior practices are going to stand you in good stead. And even if you have a busy day, lots of family, or many other commitments, I would like to invite all of you to try and find at least 15 minutes a day for you time to go in, to ground the energies, and maybe just empty the space of the mind out, or perhaps even allow downloads.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, that conjunction of Neptune and the North Node is reminding us that we need to go into more spiritual, bring more of our higher self, embody more of what our spirit is in this 3D physicality for this new cycle. So finish everything that is karmic here, let go of any limiting beliefs, change the old way of doing things, and let's go into the new with more spirituality on board.
Right, and perhaps many of you are wondering, why do we focus so much on Caesimis? Well, it's the power of the combustion of the sun really amplifies the planets and asteroids to the maximum potential. And even though this is not the scope for today's show, just throwing it out into the final wave spell of this year, which will be with the star, which we can really say is another way of talking about our sun. We have 4 Caesimis. So get used to the energy of the Cazimi. They're very, very powerful. But when you know that they're coming, and that's why we're focusing so much on this one and also the Yeshua and Pluto Cazimis the other week, is that when we put our intentions into them for truth, for light, for clarity, for the dissolving of the veil, even if just a few of us do that with quantum clarity and awareness, it will happen. Imagine what happens if hundreds or thousands of us do that.
Mm-hmm. Did you want to mention?
No, that's it really. That's the main focus for the astrology.
As usual, we have our, if you want to learn more about the Mayan, because we have the course, Mayan Time and Magic, and we also have the Navigation Guide to Quantum Consciousness, which is 13 chapters to learn more about how to navigate the 13 wave spell. And we also have what we did at the end of 2024, which is Heaven on Earth. We did this live, very powerful course. That's it. Anything else you want to share?
So yeah, we talked a lot about the Mayan time code technology at the beginning. It's coming to us quite strongly that we just wanted to break it down piece by piece, and really just inviting all of you not to get overwhelmed, but to step into a space of discovery and learning. Certainly, I didn't know anything about Mayan time technology before I met Bella, and now it's a major part of my life. And I also realize it's part of my mission, both for me, but also with Bella, and actually with all of you in the tribe. So, you know, but I had to spend time learning. I had to take on board the glyphs each day. I had to get to know myself. But once I kind of fell into that space, I was hooked. And then I just rolled that out to my astrology, my cosmology. And this is what we've been teaching on QPW, how to go inwards and talk to yourself. So we wanted to spend some time just to give some overlays. If it's too much, I suggest maybe hitting pause, making some notes, coming back, or just taking a segment at a time. You know, learning is meant to be fun, and we're also having to go back to school and learn about finances and things like crypto, which we're not so plugged up on. Not necessarily because it's our favorite topic, but because we perceive that it's actually going to be essential for us to navigate everything that is coming in the new earth. But that's a conversation for another time. But you know, learning and education is meant to be fun. Do something that is for your own spiritual benefit, and just take 15, 20 minutes a day for yourself to learn something new.
That's it from us.
That's it. And if in doubt and you're not sure what the hell is going on, this guy here, El Dandeliero, the one and only beautiful dandelion spirit, will bring you into the present moment and hopefully show you synchronistically through magic what kind of the flow you need to drop back into to optimize the flow for yourself.
Yeah, so wave spell to have a higher perspective. Let's try not to get caught up in emotional stuff or polarities. It's the perfect moment to see things from a higher perspective and bring all of the maturity that you have accomplished through your inner work, through your spiritual work, because this is the moment of the cosmic initiation. This is where we start actioning with everything that we have.
Yeah. So as we move forwards to the end of the year and the energy of the star, this is calling all star seeds who hear this call to drop into this space with us. Those of you that resonate with our energy, with the resonance of the Mayan time wave technology, of the plants, and our way of working with the astrology, cosmology. welcome to our tribe. Please come and join us, get involved in what we're doing, and add your incredible starseed energy or your galactic perspectives into the container that we have, because the more of us who are operating from that sort of eagle's perch and above perspective, the more that we are going to come to beautiful solutions and outcomes for everything that we are dealing with in our world today. All right. Thank you very much, everybody, for your time. In Lakesh, I am another you.
Bye.
Bye.